Maybe we'll just wait a couple more minutes for more people to join.
No problem.
Okay, I think we will get started. So I will do the introduction. This is the workshop with Tanya Chapman. She is the president and senior executive at the Chapman Group. And she is going to be focusing on finding our focus today. That'll be the workshop. So Tanya, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Liam. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who I've not met, just to of background on our company, we now for 3 years, and we do four main things. We do strategic planning, operational planning, help companies get really clear about their vision, their metrics, where they're going as an organization. The second thing we do is HR consulting. So we help companies with their performance management strategy, employee engagement, anything that has a beginning and an end related to HR. The third thing we do is we become the HR company for organizations that do not have an HR department, so usually under 100 or 150 people. And the fourth thing we do is executive leadership development and training. We're affiliated with LMI Canada, which is a big leadership management company that exists actually around the world and in 80 different countries, translated into 22 different languages. So we're pretty excited to be in partnership with LMI. So today, I would invite you, if you would feel like it, you're welcome to turn your cameras on and have your microphones on, because we're going to have an interactive discussion today. And so if you, to get the most out of it, I would encourage you to engage as much as you feel comfortable engaging today. I just was talking to Liam, I also teach in my spare time. I teach at the university in the MBA program, just because, it's fun to do. So happy to be with you today. And I hope you find this a really interesting, interactive process. If you do not have in front of you a piece of paper and a pen, I would highly encourage you to do that, because we're going to do a little bit of thinking about your own area of leadership and your own focus. So we're going to get started off by, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to understand what we want out of 2021. So when we think about finding focus, the very first thing we have to do is to understand what we're going after. And then the second thing we have to do is discover what we already have in place to be successful. And then finally, we need a plan. So a plan that takes into account our definition of success. So that's really what we're going to be focusing on this morning. Everybody okay with that? Thumbs up? Okay. So I want, first of all, to go right to this. We're going to look at appreciating our past. So I'm hoping you have a little piece of paper there. The first thing I want you to think about, in order for us to really understand our area of focus, it's to really kind of thinking about what has worked for us in our past life. It's called appreciative inquiry. So what that means is that we think about what's worked really well, and then we apply it going forward. So I'm going to ask you a series of 6 questions right now that I want you to answer for yourself. And then I'm going to invite you to share just one item from this list. So it's up to you. Okay. So the first thing that I'd like you to think about is, if you're to kind of think about the last 12 months, what advice would you give to yourself based on what you've learned in the last 12 months? So just jot that down. What advice would you give to yourself based on what you've learned in the last 12 months? And I know it's been a COVID year, so many things probably. But what advice would you give to yourself? This helps us get grounded and find focus. Second question. Are you ready for the next one? If you were to think about the 3 biggest lessons that you learned, what are they? What are the 3 biggest lessons that you learned? Just jot those down. What are the 3 biggest lessons that you learned? By the way, this is the hardest workshop for me that I give because I'm an extrovert, which means I want to talk all the time. And I know you have to think and reflect. So I'm going to try to be quiet throughout those questions. So your 3 big lessons. And once you have that down, I want you to think about, if you were to kind of think about how you prioritized your time last year, where you spent time, how would you change that? How would you make changes to your priorities in the last 12, if you think about the last 12 months, what are some of the things you want to change related to your priorities? And the next question, how are you different this year from last year? How are you different? And then the next one is, who or what are you especially grateful for? And then based on all that, what are some of the improvements or actions you can take that you can focus on this year? So looking back at the list you just made, what are you going to bring in for next year that are related to improvements or actions? Or maybe things that you want to keep doing because you've already done them well. So I got you moving straight away on reflection. What I want you to do is to just pick one of these items. It doesn't matter, whatever it is, totally up to you to share with the rest of the group. And what I'd like you to do when you're sharing it is tell me who you are and what you do. And I don't mean what you do necessarily for a job, that you can tell me that if you want, or what are some of the things that you like to do. So whoever is brave enough, who has the courage to go first, can go first.
I can start because I also like talking too. Hi, my name is Jillian. I'm a student right now, also doing my MBA.
Awesome.
I love to play guitar, and I'm obsessed with crosswords and Sudoku. And I guess I'll just choose the first one, the advice one. And the first thing that I put was like, take it easy. You can't do like absolutely everything.
Love it. Really good. Except you're doing your MBA, so that's like absolutely everything right now. So I know what that feels like, Jillian, as I did mine. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I can go next. Hi.
Thank you.
My name is Ipti. I work as a product owner for public cloud and cybersecurity. I changed to this position earlier, like later last year. I had a very, very, very heavy job before that. I was a project manager, but I was working mostly 24/7. So
Wow.
yeah, so I was working weekends and nights. So I'm glad that I changed to this new position. Actually, I will choose the advice because it's kind of same as Jillian. It's take it easy and focus on your work.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much for sharing. Who would like to go next?
I can go next.
Thank you.
My name is Deepika, and I'm working as consultant in Freddie, New Brunswick, with one of the companies called Second Spring. And I think, like, for me, I like, with the past year, I like moved to Canada last year, and this year and last year being like with COVID situation. So I think like the couple of lessons for me would be, kind of like be patient. Things will get to you. You have to be like kind of open and it kind of like explore the opportunities that are out there. And the second thing would be like, don't doubt yourself. Just be open. Just like just don't push yourself, but at the same time, don't doubt yourselves. And and do a lot of like self-learning, because that's important with the mindfulness. Like just take a deep breath in and kind of be like open-minded and calm, and like a lot of mindfulness. Yeah.
You know what? That's such great advice for all of us. Thank you. Who has the courage to go next?
I'll go.
That was perfect. Dang, I don't know.
That's my phone going off because people are messaging me the minute I have to talk. So my name is Alex Saunders, and I used to work in IT until I got laid off because of the pandemic. And I guess now I'm just a professional stay-at-home cat mom to 5 cats. And so I guess the thing I like to do is I'm actually also a drag artist. So when I got laid off, my side gig couldn't even happen because you have to physically go out and do things at bars. So now I've decided, having been, I guess, visiting venues and trying to get them to work with me for almost a year to like put small socially distanced things together to at least bring something in. I've decided that I'm just going to open my own venue because I'm not tired of working with other people. So I'm just taking this time to like learn about things. So I've been signing up for lots of stuff, and this is that.
Awesome.
So the thing that one of the lessons I learned in the last year is that I guess I don't really want to work for other people. I mean, I will if I have to eventually, but I kind of would like to take myself in a new direction and work for myself. So that's a lesson I learned in 2020 in my
That's a big one. Yeah, congratulations. Thank you. All right, who would like to go next?
I'll go next.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes,
thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Hanan. Basically, I'm electrical project engineer. Actually, because of the pandemic, I got laid off from my work. Maybe the advice for myself that not overthinking my job and blaming myself about some circumstances at work. According to lessons actually during 1 year ago, I studied for PMP, and I got the certificate from PMI, and I'm happy with that.
Awesome.
But I thought that I could do more if I started earlier. Yes, this is maybe the lesson, that I should go faster with the situation. According to some changes for my priorities, of course, with all my family members at home because of the pandemic, this leads to more need for time management for all of the members, including myself. I'm grateful for myself that I feel that now I'm more encouraged to go through challenging situation. I'm trying to come back if I found any new opportunity could be better. Another thing that I have arrived Canada since 2 years ago, and I went into the job market only after 6 months, and it's not.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry.
I think it's really important too. I'm going to just kind of go back to what you said around not taking job loss personally around pandemic. I think that's so critical. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Lisa, I know that you we're ready to go too. Are you ready?
Sure. So my name's Lisa, and I am a business intelligence analyst in Fredericton. And I guess I have kind of learned over the last year that I really am a homebody. I am kind of grateful for all the stuff that has shifted towards being able to do stuff from home. Oh,
that's okay. Keep going.
And so long as I'm able to get out and hike with my dog, that's something we do pretty much every day. I love the fact that now there's things like this that it's easier to attend and still get to meet people just kind of in a different way.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is a gift of COVID, for sure. Great, thank you. Is somebody else ready to go?
Sure, I'll go.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Claire Jardine, and I'm a business analyst here in Fredericton, New Brunswick. I work with the government of New Brunswick. We're part of a small transformation team within GNB that we're focused on user design. So we involve people in our processes. So when we build projects. So for me, the one I focused on was just gratitude. Gratitude for friends, for being in New Brunswick. And, at least this summer we had the Atlantic bubble. So we went to PI a few times, Nova Scotia. I'm big into mountain biking. So just being able to get outside and bike, fresh air.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's been great.
Really good. Thank you. Who are we missing? Who hasn't had a chance to speak yet? Oh, maybe we've got everybody. All right. So a couple of things. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's really important to reflect. In order for us to really find focus, we have to reflect on what we've done in the past, because there are lessons in that. What things do we want to stop doing? What do we want to continue doing? What do we want to, really kind of get more deliberate about or leverage? So I want to talk to you a little bit about what we call the 80-20 rule. Has anybody ever seen this rule or heard of this rule, the 80-20 rule? What it basically says is that the majority of what we do actually creates low impact. So 20% of our effort creates 80% of the result. And the rest of the 80% of effort only creates 20% of the result. So incremental change. So part of finding our focus is shifting our intention to that 20% that creates the most productive result for us. And so finding our focus also means that we have to think about our time not as being spent. Like you guys all talked about lessons learned. I love that. Claire, whether you talked about gratitude and getting out, that was an investment. Lisa talked about investing in herself with respect to learning. We have Alex thinking about a new business. You think about giving yourself permission to say, yeah, you know what, I no longer have my job, but it's not personal. All of that is about investing in yourself. So even though, yes, pandemic was hard, it actually taught you stuff that you can apply going forward. So one of the things we have to do is readjust our habit of thought that time is being spent, not invested. So we're worth it. We have to think about where we're investing time, not just spending it. And it's the one resource where we can exert the most control. So we have to manage what we do to use time efficiently. So I want to talk a little bit about brain science. Did you know that you're going to be talking about brain science today during finding your focus session? When we spend time in our reactive brain, that's our fight or flight, emotion driven, it's survival. So your phone dings, that's like somebody tapping you on the shoulder. Reactive brain, got to react. Somebody needs me. We do our best thinking in our proactive reflective brain, which is actually what you're doing today in this conference. You're spending time in your reflective brain. And in your reflective brain, best problem solving happens, good communication. It's the conscious control center. You actually plan. You focus your time and attention. Reactive brain is like a 1,000-pound racehorse. Gets out of control, very powerful, very strong. So we actually have to do things like turn our notifications off so that we can focus. We have to do things like schedule goals, set up time in the morning to plan, be intentional and consistent with where we're investing time. Our reflective brain is like a highly skilled jockey, somebody who rides the horse. So reflective brain is that planning, the thinking, the processing, the getting really deliberate and intentional about your time. So the reflective brain piece is really important to think about, because if your jockey gets knocked off your horse takes over. Happens in every day sometimes, right? Like customers come in, you have to react or respond. Technology issues occur. Kids need you. Parents need you. That's react, react, react. So part of our challenge is to think about our time in time blocks. And so if you think about that reactive brain, oftentimes you're in quadrant 1 here. Things are important. They have to be done immediately. High priority, can't be delayed. They're important and urgent. In quadrant 3, also considered really important, we have in quadrant 3, needless interruptions, could be meeting other people's priorities, low priority, busy work, unrelated to your goals, could or should be done by others. In quadrant 2, this is where we do what we're doing today. Goal planning, tracking, thinking about learning and development, relationship building, renewal and refreshing. It's important, but not urgent. And remember, has anybody heard about the curse of the immediate? Which means naturally we feel wanted and needed when we go into that react mode. So we actually go into quadrants 1 and 3 really regularly because it feeds our ego. But for every minute you spend in quadrant 2, goal planning, focusing, relationship building, you save 4 to 10 times in quadrant 1. Quadrant 4 is the one, of course, that you want to avoid, which is the neither urgent nor important, and it's often the waste of time. So it's like 24-hour Netflix marathons. Now, if you're just 2 hours of Netflix to detach and rest your brain, you're up in quadrant 2. It's when it becomes excessive. That's when the problem occurs. So where do you think you're spending most of your time right now? Where are you hanging out mostly right now, do you think? Do you think you're in quadrant 1? Do you think you're in quadrant 2, quadrant 3, or quadrant 4? Alex, which quadrant were you in? I think, did you show me a number or no?
I'm in quadrant 4 regularly with my unlimited amount of time.
Oh, yes. And if we have extra time, often that's where we hang out. So we have to get even more deliberate about going into 2, which is what you've done today. So don't give yourself some credit. Yeah, exactly. Any other thoughts on where you're hanging out mostly these days? Most people do hang out mostly in quadrant 1 and 3. So again, in order for us to think about our proactive brain, we have to move from reacting, which is when we're more resistant to change. We find it difficult to choose and decide. We feel inner stress. We have no control over the environment, and we do things right. That's what the focus is. We do things when we're in our proactive brain. We have more of that can-do attitude. We're taking responsibility for our actions. We're thinking in terms of new possibilities. We're future-oriented and focused on results. So this is where we learn and grow from our mistakes. So again, in that theme of really helping you find focus, the next thing I want you to do, in the spirit of investing time and spending time in quadrant 2, I want you to think about what is your theme, word, or phrase for 2021. And I know we're into March, but that's okay. When you think about the theme, word, or phrase in 2021, what is it for you? Write that down. What's your theme, word, or phrase? So my theme word for 2021 is abundance. Would anybody like to share their theme word or phrase when you're ready?
Yeah, I can. Mine is I'm doing my co-op this year, so mine is just like steady income.
It's steady?
Steady income. So like,
oh, steady and calm. I love that. Steady and calm. Yeah, really good.
Oh, sorry, no, steady income. Although I should like remain.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what steady income, even better than steady and calm. Yeah. Good. Okay. Other people, do you have, one more maybe theme word or phrase if you'd like to share?
I would say resilience.
Really good. Yeah, resilience. Game on. Really good. Okay. Anybody else have one? Okay, I'm going to move on. So thinking about your theme word or phrase, it's really important to kind of set up the intention, right? You're being intentional here. You're spending time in quadrant 2. You're planning, you're thinking, you're considering what you want. You're designing your future. So the next thing I want you to do, and I'm going to set a timer for this, I want you to think about the things that you'd like to build or develop or have or create or think about things that you want to grow. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. You're going to take 5 minutes to think about your future. And what I want you to do is I want you to group them. It doesn't matter really where you put them, but I want you to think about, what are the things that you want to do, grow, build, develop, create in your lifetime, 3 years out, 1 year out, and 3 months. Okay. So it doesn't really matter where you put it, but you're going to spend 5 minutes just investing in yourself, thinking about where you would like to build, develop, grow, create. And I'm going to set my timer And I'm going to give you 5 minutes of quiet time to do that right now. And then we're going to come back to this in a second. Everybody clear with what we're doing? So for example, my lifetime is world cruise. That's pretty cool. 3 years out is open a Halifax office. 1 year out is make sure both of my kids are launched from university and they're out of my house. 3 months is making sure that we have a new revenue stream around coaching. So it could be whatever you want. And if you want like a kick-ass pair of red shoes, and put a kick-ass pair of red shoes in there, whatever it is, okay? No limits. Doesn't matter how big or small. Start now. Okay. That's your Disney moment right there. All right. So that was just a 5 minutes of investing in yourself to really kind of think about what you want, just being intentional. How often do you actually sit for 5 minutes, only 5 minutes, and plan? What do you think? Deepika? I don't think I'm.
I think I love it because, like you said, I've never, we are so much engrossed in our work, our daily routine. We don't get time, and even if we get time, we don't invest our time in all these planning activities for the rest of the year or what we're going to do. So I think for me, if I talk about my 3 months goal, which is kind of like a short-term goal, like on my professional front, I would definitely want to enhance my self-learning. I've already have a list of pending courses and training that I want to do, which is catered to my job and can help me grow in my professional career. But on the personal front, I feel I love interior designing. So I really want to get started with my interior decor for my apartment so that, it's just good, it's beautiful. Yeah. So that's my both professional and personal goal for 3 months. Yeah.
I love that. And we don't often just spend even 5 minutes to think about this. So the next thing I want you to do is take a look at your list. And in each of the categories under lifetime, 3 year, 1 year, and 3 months, circle one thing in each of those. So you have 4 things circled in total that are called your game changers, things that would make the most difference right now in how you are showing up. So whether, it's how you're feeling, body, mind, and spirit. So what are some of the things right now in each of the categories that you could really kind of get your mind focused on? Because we're hanging out in quadrant 2. We're focusing on that 20% high payoff activity right now, which is partly related to planning. So what's the one thing in each category that would be a game changer for you right now?
Tanya, just for when you say that would be a game changer right now, what do you mean by that?
Well, it could mean it might not be, you might not see the benefit right now, Jillian. Like you're a great example where, you know what, your MBA is not going to benefit you right now, but it's going to benefit you in 3 years or 2 years or 1 year. So your game changer might be, your next program or just getting an A on your next program, whatever it is. So it's like a game changer right now that will have the most impact on your life, but your impact might not be seen until a little later on. All right, I am going to put you into groups. You can pick, I don't care which one you pick. You can pick one, lifetime, 3 year, 1 year, 3 months, whatever. I want you to share just one game changer. So share one of your game changers, whichever one you're most comfortable sharing. And I also want you to speak to, this is 2 things. So your game changer and what's your superpower that's going to allow you to really go after it. So my game changer is always about leading change. I'm about to lead a big transformational change for a women's organization in St. John. That's my game changer. My superpower is I am really good at leading change. So I want you to say what's one game changer and what's your superpower that's going to help you get there. Okay. So let me see if I can do these breakout rooms. This is I'm going to give you 10 minutes to do this. I am going to do, we're going to put you in group of 3. And that should hopefully allow you to have 2 or 3 people in your workroom. Okay, I'm going to create your rooms now. Liam, I think I did that correctly.
Yeah, it looks like they all got in. And you can see who's in each group.
Perfect. Yeah, this is really very much like Zoom, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I go visit their rooms?
Oh
yeah, I can.
It looks like there's a max amount of people in each room. I don't know if you set like the limit.
Okay, I did, but I'm going to go join rooms and see if I can do that.
Okay, yeah, you can try. Were you able to enter the rooms? I think
Yep.
video and audio. Yeah.
No problem. It's easy to do. Yeah, I'm going to go check out the next one.
Sure. Back.
Thank you. Yeah, this is really good. Not a bad venue.
Yes. So you can see at the top, it says the breakout rooms will close in 4.5 minutes.
I'll probably close them in a little bit earlier, just I think they're
Yeah.
almost, so.
Yeah, okay.
Welcome back. Can everybody still see my screen or no? No, okay. All right, let's see how we can do with that. Can you see it now? Yes, okay, good. All right, does everybody have then, you got a chance to talk about, at least for a couple of minutes, your game changer? Yes? And then what's your superpower? So I want now, we're going to take this to the next level, and I'm going to get you to think about actually starting to write some goals down. So I want you to think about, if we were to kind of do this same session 12 months from now, I want you to write down what are the 3 to 5 aspirations. So based on everything you've just said, let's actually start setting some goals. What are the 3 to 5 goals? Look at your game changer. What are the 3 to 5 goals then that you're going to set yourself up for? So right now, just write down what are those 3 to 5 goals that will help you find purpose and focus and passion. So based on everything you've written so far, what are then the 3 to 5 goals that will really help foster those game-changing types of activities? So what are your 3 to 5 goals? And then once you have your aspirations written down, 3 to 5, and take your time while you're doing this, how are you going to measure the result? If you have 3 to 5 goals, how are you going to measure the result? What's the measurable? So if one of your goals, your aspirations between now and 12 months from now is to find a new job, the result could be increase salary by 20%. That could be your result. If you decided it was one of your aspirations was to get healthy, one of your measurable results could be I'm moving my body 30 minutes per day. So I want you to do your 3 to 5 aspirations and then the corresponding 3 to 5 results. And then if you have time, you can go back to this or you can do it right now. What are your greatest strengths? When I talk about superpowers, what are your greatest strengths that you have in order for you to actually deliver on those goals? What are some of your strengths that you can call upon? Your superpowers, what are they? And then from that, the other on the right-hand side, when we talk about opportunities, that's not code for weaknesses, by the way, because our weaknesses are just our overused strengths. So the opportunities really mean is like what's out there right now. So for example, if your aspiration was to get a new job, maybe one of the opportunities is to take a course on performance management to help you get to that next level of leadership. All right, is everybody with me so far? So I'm just going to ask each of you, just going around the virtual table here, what's just one goal that you had? It can be anything. So when you think about those 3 to 5 aspirations, what's one goal that you wrote down when I asked you that question? Who's ready to go?
I'll talk.
Thank you.
So my biggest goal right now is that I had started on a new medication that had some weight gain as a side effect. And I have been kind of struggling with that through COVID, in that I'm not out and about as much as I used to be. And so I've been doing my best to try and keep track of my eating habits. And I've always been I love to be outside and walking, and especially now that we have a dog, I spend a ton of time snowshoeing with him. However, I'm still struggling with fitting into clothes that I fit into, say, before COVID. So my goal for this year is to try and use some things that I've learned from a dietitian that I recently saw, and to be more intentional with my time and what I'm eating.
Really good. And the result will be you're going to fit back in your clothes.
Hopefully I will fit back into my clothes.
Yeah, I love it. Really good. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. All right, somebody else ready to go? One aspiration and one result.
I can
Thank you.
talk about it. So
Thank you.
one of my aspirations is I want to be lead in cybersecurity. I'm kind of new to the to the environment, like to the topic. I've been only 2 years, and I've been changing a lot, what I'm doing. So the space I'm in now is I'm not familiar with. I just put myself there to learn. So I'm looking to do that. So the results, I think when I have fully understanding of what I'm currently doing, I would be on the moon, I think. And I want to actually be a leader in cybersecurity and be a representative for women in that area.
Really good.
Thank you.
So this is really a good model for thinking about finding that focus and that intention. So pull this out. You can use it. We call it a SOAR analysis. You can use it for a lot of different things, but it really helps you find that focus. So a couple more thoughts before we wrap up. How this relates to leadership. Let's talk about that. First of all, when you think about what leaders do, they take a vision and create strategic goals or priorities. Then they create action plans, and then they measure success. And in the middle of the action plan and the measuring of success, you create what we call flawless execution. And along the bottom, you hold yourself accountable and you hang out in quadrant 2 to really kind of get planful about what you're doing. So what you've just done just today in those quick hour is we've created our vision by thinking about our word for 2021. We're building on our past successes. We're thinking about our priorities because of our passion plan. And we just put together a goal around an action plan. So when you think about personal leadership, this is what really focuses personal leaders. We know that every person has exactly the same amount of time in the day, but we also know that successful people have 3 common traits. They're highly focused. You know, that's that 10,000 hour rule that Malcolm Gladwell talks about, 10,000 hours to become an expert. People who do this are highly focused. They're self-motivated. So they can set goals and then actually achieve them because they're self-motivated to do it, because the goal is their own. It's not somebody else's definition of success. It's your definition of success. And the third is they have that positive can-do attitude. So success and motivation is about just 3 things: focus, self-motivation, and that positive can-do attitude. That's what leadership really creates. So, you know, part of our goal planning exercise really creates, I'm going to show you this little tool. It's called the Ideal Work Week. You can get a template off the internet, no problem. Any template will do. I do this every quarter. And I say, you know what do I really want my week to look like? Well, I know that I'm not great at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I would prefer that my meetings start at 9 o'clock. So between 7:30 and 8:30, I actually have it blocked out for planning. I also know that I like to run every Sunday afternoon. I only do 5K. I am not a beautiful runner, but I do it because I have a wellness goal in mind. So I block that out. I know that I do consulting work on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and I do leadership programming Friday morning, so I block that out. So what an ideal week will do for you is it helps, again, provide that focus. Do I ever get 100% of my ideal work week? Not even once. But I'm in quadrant 2, planning, knowing that I can adjust and adapt and be flexible, but I have at least a plan. So this is a tool for you to consider when you're finding how to actually fit in what we just talked about in creating your game changers. And if on your ideal work week, you don't have time to exercise and that was a game changer, or if you don't have time to study because that was a game changer, or find the right job, or talk to a mentor, or build capability and capacity, then you don't have the right ideal work week because you're not adding your game changers in there. So you got to add your game changers and invest time in changing the game. So one of the last things I'll talk about is a really exceptionally good leadership habit. And this is about planning your day. So if you can spend 5 to 10 minutes in the morning in quadrant 2 planning your day, for every minute you spend planning, you're going to save 4 to 10 times that amount in execution. So prioritize each day, put first things first. Distinguish between what we call imperative action items and important. So important is what you're doing today. So it's the learning, the development, the restoration, the planning, the goal setting, taking vacation. That's quadrant 2. Quadrant 1, 2, and 3 activities are often imperative, which means you have to get them done because you've promised yourself or others. And then close out each day. So if there's one thing that you think about around really building capability and capacity as a leader, the ability to plan and focus your attention on those 20% of action items that will give you 80% of the results, you can do that by just simply 10 minutes a day planning. Get yourself a really good planner. Here's my favorite. My favorite's called the Passion Planner. Can everybody see that? It's called a Passion Planner. This is kind of boring black, but it comes in all kinds of different colors and shapes and sizes. And then this is what my days look like. Look, I actually plan them. So if you think about your own time and the value of your time, it's about investing that time, planning it out, and then going after it every day. That's how leadership capability and leadership muscle is built. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up. And on the screen is my contact information. If you'd like more information or you'd like to chat, that's there. But I'm going to open it up now for your questions. And you know what? You got an HR person in front of you. You can ask me anything.
I have a question since you're opening it up.
Yeah.
Can I just, as an HR person, as soon as you said that, my first question that came to mind was, what are like the top things that you look for when you interview people? So getting your foot into the door, what are some of the things that you think about or look at in like every, like across the board, any candidate?
For my own company or for other companies?
Yeah, just like any patterns you've seen where it's like, even it's important for any company to.
Any company. Mm-hmm. So number one is the first thing I look for is a sense of confidence, not cockiness, but confidence in your ability. Look me in the eye, shake my hand, used to be shake my hand, with a firm handshake. You know, I want to see somebody who has the ability to communicate well. So plan your interview in advance. Make sure you can articulate why you're the best candidate. And I'm looking for attitude. I'll hire attitude over skill any day of the week. Great question. Other questions?
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
I was very impressed by that planner that you just showed us, and I was wondering how you find the motivation to, I guess, set aside time to just plan like that.
Well, you know, I run a company, so I'm very busy, and I work night and day. So for me, every Sunday, I grab a cup of coffee, and when I had little kids, I hid in my closet so that I could do it. But it's just 10 minutes, like just don't overmotor it. So I plan my week, but then every morning I just write down what I need to do, what I promise myself or others. And the other thing I do is I actually write down what am I going to do for myself, body, mind, and spirit. So I always have body, mind, and spirit written down in my planner.
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's motivation, but it also helps to train your brain to be calm. It's also a stress reduction strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Anything else? Any other questions or comments?
I have a question. Thanks a lot for the presentation. It was really good, like the workshop and all. What we should be focusing if we want to take on leadership roles, like what we need to build or do or learn even.
Mm-hmm. So we're kind of thinking about the three biggest important skills and capabilities around leadership. Number one is really great judgment. So, you know, the ability to make decisions using really good judgment. And that's practice. That comes with practice. The second thing is, courage to act. No leader that I know isn't courageous. So courage to act, courage to speak up, courage to say what you believe, courage to speak truth to power. And I think the third area for me is empathy for the people that we work with. So the ability to lead people and understand that you have a responsibility to grow and develop and build your team. And the way that you do that is by being empathetic. You're welcome.
Can I follow up on that? And I have a quick question. So you said great judgment is something that you look for.
Yeah.
How can you measure that when you go into an organization, how can you measure whether somebody has good judgment or not? Like, where do you see that?
Yeah, so part of when we're interviewing, we do what we call a behavioral interview. So the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. So I will ask candidates, for example, to talk about a time when they made a decision that didn't work out. Well, what did you do around that? So did they, just kind of brush it under the carpet? Did they ignore it and move on? Or did they actually create a lessons learned related to that? You can also think about scenarios like you have this and this. Good, and they're both dilemmas. Both are equally good. Good judgment means you have a really solid thought process around making that decision. Yeah. There's no substitute for good judgment. Actually, my very first boss taught me that, Jillian. She was the director of admissions at St. Thomas University, and she was a firecracker. Does everybody watch The Incredibles with Edna Mode? Well, that was basically Evelyn. She was like Edna Mode. And she used to say there's no substitute for good judgment, and something that I always remembered. Any other questions or thoughts or ideas before we wrap up? Thank you so much for attending our session today. I really appreciate your time and energy and effort. And I know I made you kind of stretch your brains a little bit around your own journey. So hopefully that was helpful, and that you got some tools that you can use now and in the future.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your conference, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
So it is now 12:15. That is our lunch break. So if anyone wants to go and have lunch, take a break, and then come back at 1 o'clock, I put the link in the general chat, which just takes you back to the page where you can find all the other links to the right rooms. So thank you and enjoy your break.
Thank you so much.